This is a video from the team at HeaterTreater using our core regulator product to regulate the temperature, and specifically we're doing this on a Dodge Dakota Durango vehicle. Uh, this solution can be used on virtually any automobile, and this will give you a good idea of how it's done, and we will be adding additional vehicles as time goes on. This is a typical dash configuration on the Dakota Durango just for identification purposes. And we will get started first by explaining a little bit about what the problem is, what causes it, and then get into the actual repair. This is a picture of an open plenum box off of a Dodge Durango. And you can see that there are two sets of doors, an upper door and a lower door. And you can also see that there are left and right doors, and that allows for a dual control configuration. The red arrow points to a little brace that connects the upper and lower doors, and they move in unison. And the blue arrow shows you the lower door. And then here's another picture of that lower door just to get a feel for how it is connected to the upper door and how the two move together. The red arrow shows a side view of the upper door. And if you look at it closely, you can see that this is a very flexible plastic and has a lot of bend to it, almost like a windshield wiper. The problem comes in when that door moves all the way up and closes, as shown in the first photo, and it can actually push too far up in there and lodge in place. And when it does that, you are stuck in heat. And the way the little rod going to the upper door is positioned, the angle is wrong to unstick that, and you'll be stuck in permanent heat. This is the panel under the steering wheel steering column, and we'll need to remove that. It's held in place with three torque screws from the bottom. They're easy to get to, and then it just snaps out. It's probably easiest if you just leave the brake release connected and lay the panel to the side. It's a little tricky putting that back together. It's not difficult, but it's easiest if you don't have to mess with that. Once you remove that panel, you can get up under the driver's side dash and you'll see the actuator motor close to the firewall that controls the blend doors. What we want to do at this point is to lock the blend doors in the heat position. And it's very difficult to remove that little wiring connector. They put the little push button on the wrong side. But you can remove the motor to take the wire off. Generally, I just cut those wires and strip the ends of it and use a little 9-volt battery to move the door. This shows the motor connector where the motor slips on, so this is what it looks like with the motor off. There's really no reason to remove the motor. If you want to, certainly you can. But what we want to end up with is turning that door in a full clockwise or to the right position. We're lifting the door up and permanently locking the system in heat mode. And you can do that with a little 9-volt battery and a snap connector to the bare wires, and just watch it turn, and if you need to, you can start the engine and feel when you get into the right position and have heat only coming out of the system. Now we're going to move under the hood and install the heater core regulator. This is just a wide-angle view of the firewall of the Durango Dakota, and on the driver's side you'll see two heater hoses coming out of the firewall. This is where we're going to install the system. You'll note that there are two hoses coming in, one that's going to the water pump and one that's kind of coming from the passenger side of the engine that has a little hook on the end of it. On this particular model, it's easier to go ahead and remove the heater hoses from the firewall, and both of them have the little spring clip hose clamps, and and I love those. I'm sure they make a tool to take those off, but I've never had one. So I struggle with a pair of pliers and finally get it done. You can too. And remove those two heater hoses. It's best on the one going over to the passenger side that you leave that little hook in place, and that will go on the bottom of the bottom tit on the core regulator, and the top one will have the straight hose and go to the water pump. It's fairly straightforward to put that in place. Hose clamps are provided, and you may have a little extra 3-inch piece of heater hose to make the installation easier. And just put that in line with the heater hoses. And again, we want to be real sure that the top hose, and I'm defining the top as the part with the silver actuator on it, that top one does have to go to the water pump, and the water has to flow into that top inlet. Once we do that, I need to connect the ground wire, and on this one there's a nice convenient spot. Just pull the wire up and ground it, and then we need to run the red wire into the passenger compartment. And you can see the grommet where the wiring harness goes into the passenger compartment. You can see that's a pretty tight fit. You can try and run the wire in the middle of that bundle, but it's a whole lot easier to just poke a little tiny hole in the rubber surrounding where the wires come in, and just poke it in through there. That's going to make a tiny hole in the seal of the firewall, and if you ever go off a cliff and you're in 20 feet of water, you may have a slight grip coming in through that hole that we made, but you'll probably have bigger problems and not be worried about it. Back to the inside of the car, and you want to pull that red wire through that we push through from the engine side, and route that over to the center of the vehicle. And you want to be careful that you don't have any wires drooping or binding with the steering wheel or something that'll get caught in the accelerator, etc. So use zip ties and bring that wire over. Now we're going to remove the little bottom plastic piece that holds the cigarette lighter. You'll be able to see it, and you do want to make sure that that cigarette lighter cuts on and off with the key. To get that off, you'll need to kind of wedge out the center dash portion as we show in this video. You don't need to remove the whole thing. It does extend all the way over top of the steering wheel. We just need to get enough and pull it out a little bit that we can get to the screws behind that module. And once we do that, we can remove the little bottom plastic piece that holds the cigarette lighter. We need to disconnect the wire from that, and you'll have to use a screwdriver and kind of take out the internal guts of the cigarette lighter so it's a straight hole through. And the little rocker switch that we provide will fit exactly into that hole. The wires are connected to the power and ground from the cigarette lighter and to the red wire that we pulled through, and you need to make sure you connect those correctly as shown in the instructions. And we do provide a little slip-on clamp connector that you can just put the two wires together, use a pair of pliers, clamp it in place, and once you do that, you'll have the switch in place, and it will light up when the power is on, off when it's off. So it's coded. It's a blue light. When blue is on, that's AC. That means no water is flowing through the heater core, and when the light is off, then you do have heat. This is a fairly simple repair for a Dodge Durango. We think you'll find it easy to use and very, very effective. And actually just pulling the heat out of the heater core gives you better AC. We have a lot more information on our website, and full instructions are provided with the kit. and we're happy to answer any questions through the email facility on our website at www.heatertreater.net.